I was heartbroken before I was born. An inheritance of sorts. My mother lost her parents, her sisters, their husbands and children, brother, his wife, and children. My mother's brother was shot in the back for the crime of not understanding that his tattered fur collar qualified as a fur coat. My grandfather Saul, who I am named after, witnessed this and dropped dead of a heart attack. My father first lost his older brother Herschel. He refused to live within the confines of the Vilna ghetto. He would throw packages of food over the ghetto wall for his family to survive on, until one day the packages stopped coming. Dad's father, Abraham, died next. They know he was captured by one of the harpunim, the people who grab people off the streets and take them to jail. My grandmother delivers food for her husband, even though he is likely already dead. The jailers keep her coming for her food. It is assumed he was taken to Panari and shot into open trenches. Line after line of people fall into these open pits as opposing lines of men with rifles slaughter them. In the days after the war, my dad is told that someone saw his mother just days before liberation. She did not survive. However, the biggest blow is learning that his beautiful wife, Gittel, and 3-year-old daughter, Tsila, are killed while he is out looking for bread and butter to complete their stash of food for their hiding place. They intend to seal themselves in with a chimney for air. My parents survive malnutrition, terror, grief, and rage. I am the daughter of that survival. A common question of survivors is, if there is a God, how could he have let this happen? My parents' conclusion is that there is no God. They are deeply identified as Jews, go to the high holidays out of respect for tradition, and the millions who perished for the mere fact of their religion. God? Well, God is an entirely different matter. Being an artist is part of my spiritual practice. The studio is my holy land. That is where I ask all the important questions, and with my hands and mind, search for the answers. Could anyone forgive the Nazis? I am unable to answer. In my mind, it is not mine to forgive. No, fuck that. There is no way. The question paralyzes me. No, 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 fuck no, I won't forgive them. I don't know when I first started meditating, maybe in the 80s. Somewhere in the last 10 years, I am introduced to the Buddhist metta practice. In metta, we send loving thoughts, starting with someone who is easy, moving to someone a little more complicated, to oneself, and then someone who is challenging. May you know peace. May you be free of all pain and suffering. May you know joy. When my mother passes away in 2003, I go looking for a piece of string and stumble into a yarn store. It is full of bin after bin of soft, fluffy balls of colorful yarn. For 9 months, as I grieve my mother's death, I knit. My husband asks, will I ever see anything other than the top of your head, bent over knitting needles and yarn? And then it hits me. This is the metaphor I've been looking for since I was in my early 30s. When you knit, you take a single strand and make a complex form. It is that thread, if that thread is cut, the entire garment starts to unravel. In 2021, I get an email from a curator I just met about a grant for work on the subject of forgiveness. It is a wake-up call. I complete the application in 20 minutes and am awarded the grant. I make a video performance titled The Undoing Forgiveness. I put out a call via email and social media, asking people to contribute anonymous stories in which they want or have forgiven. Knitting is the central image for my work for 20 years. I'd most recently completed a body of paintings of details of knitting, which I'd exhibited in 2020. These small shapes in the paintings vibrate off the paper. I finally capture an experience I had back in my 20s when I first started meditating. In a few days, my eyes registered the world as vibrating energy. Solid objects pulse. The space between the objects pulse. And living beings pulse. In 2020, I have an exhibit at Alfred University entitled Compassion in Action. It is curated by Maureen Weiss. Included in the show is my forgiveness video, a knitted installation, a red lotus, the witness to release, and the performance, Release Me. Release Me is the story of my life's work, freeing myself of my family inheritance. Is everything forgivable? In the performance, I speak about the heartbreaking experience of losing the closeness I once felt with my father, being assaulted by a family friend, of my parents' war experiences. I sit in the gallery in a rocking chair for 5 hours a day for 5 consecutive days, knitting myself a cocoon made of silk mohair and cotton. Sometimes I am alone with my own thoughts, and other times the room is full of students. There's a second chair for anyone who wants to engage with me. Some people sit and knit with me. Others have confessions or need to share their hearts. Some have questions, and there are many who sit in silence. Release Me brings me back to writing. While working on my next video on self-forgiveness, I sign up for a writing class with Bruce Gelfand. I've known Bruce for 30 years. Writing isn't my art form, so I can take it pressure-free. Yeah, right. However, the stories start pouring out, and I'm at work on my next performance. Forgiveness is my teacher and my wrestling partner. It is a daily practice, not a one and done. I can't forgive my husband for being absorbed in his phone, missing the tears rolling down my cheeks. I can't forgive my friend who doesn't see how much I need her after having brain surgery. My friend can't forgive me for a misunderstanding. I can't forgive God for giving my childhood friend ALS. I can't forgive the neighbor who parks in front of our house. How will there ever be peace in the world? You want to join me in this forgiveness practice? Open the newspaper. There are so many people to be forgiven. However, it's one thing to forgive a shooter in Maine from my comfortable home in Southern California, and another if the shooter has taken your best friend, your child, or your spouse. My compassion grows, yet is never enough. Does compassion go out the door when the dead are my kind? Every day I am asked to stretch the boundaries of what I can and cannot forgive. What does forgiveness mean anyway? For me, and I can only speak for myself, forgiveness is a path to an open heart. When my heart is open, the world, despite everything, is far more beautiful. In Bruce's writing class, having spoken with Bridget about this event, I write my Holy Land. I say good morning, you here drop dead. I wave my hand to greet you. You see the gesture and think I have shown you my middle finger. You bow in prayer. I fear you have a weapon hidden in your hands. You say words in a language I do not understand. I struggle to hear the tone, to read your intent. I long to know and be known by you. We open our hearts and only see a pile of stones. What if I see your suffering and know it matches the place within me? What if I recognize your tears as mine? What if I believe that your open heart is my holy land and mine yours? What if I bow and ask forgiveness? I empty the stones in my pockets. I step into my holy land, naked. Will I dare to bow my head without the fear of a knife or heavy axe aimed at the softness of my neck? I am unarmed. Will you meet me? Will you meet me? I bow to my holy land. My pockets are empty. I kneel myself in your heart. As a way of knitting together each of the presentations, you will see small clips of the visuals from my video, The Undoing Forgiveness, along with Trevor's music.